Really happy for everything Xfinity's done for us and everything they do for the sports. You guys have sent your questions to the @Xfinity Racing handle on Twitter. And so Hannah's got some of the questions ready, and she's going to put them together and pick her favorites.
Yeah, and we are already live up here on YouTube.
Awesome.
So I feel like we have to kick it off right away. We talked about it at the top of the show. We want to recruit the fans here, so we give them enough time here that we would like to rename the open segment, and we're opening it up to the fans, right, for their suggestions?
Yeah, so we're going to kind of change the open segment up a little bit. Hannah's going to toss us topics, and we're going to go over them. And but it'll be all, the topics and conversation really won't change much, but we just really have been having a hard time coming up with a name for the open segment. I'm kind of okay with open segment. Mike, Matthew, maybe not in love with it. So I think our best bet is to allow our listeners to name the open segment.
Someone already said wide open.
Wide open.
And I kind of, it's best both worlds.
All right, that's the leader of the pack right now.
Yeah.
So send them in. Yep. You don't have to do it today. Maybe by next week's show, we'll have landed on something that we liked, but it's going to come from you guys, which is probably the best.
Yeah.
The way it should happen.
Perfect. Well, that segues us into the next one here. Of course, a lot of talk about, we talked about Darlington. We talked about the Kentucky Derby. A couple fans have chimed in and asked, what is your takeaway from F1 and all the hype that came with Miami and just your overall thoughts on it?
Boy. I have hesitated to say this, but I can't get into it.
I'm with you.
I can't.
I like the celebrities.
Yeah.
that being there, but
I'm not incapable of enjoying F1 because I used to watch it when Mika Hakkinen and Michael Schumacher and those guys were going at it. I mean, it was pretty awesome back then. But for some reason, I have had a hard time. I've had a hard time finding my interest or my connection to F1, and so I really, really, really didn't pay a whole lot of attention to it. Only thing that I was really watching was some social media stuff. Jeff Gluck was there, and several other guys that and girls that I follow on social media. So I was seeing some of their experiences and so forth, but I have no idea really how the race went or what people thought of the track or the experience and what it means for F1 or the Miami Grand Prix going forward. I'm paying attention in terms of globally, like the sport getting more involved in the U.S., more races here and so forth. But I really and I like Daniel. I follow him or want him to do well. If there's a guy that I pull for, it's Ricardo. But it's tough for me to really get into like the championship battle and the what's going on there. But so I'm kind of struggling as an F1 fan.
Yeah, there was a lot going on too. Like, did you guys see the merchandise pricing that they had?
Well,
they
sure
had
it was
hats.
ridiculous.
Yeah, like a basic hat that just had Mercedes on it. I think was like $95, and windbreakers were upward of $400. And
what?
It was wild. Someone did the pricing, and you could buy a hat, a windbreaker, and I think a water bottle. And they were like, that'll get you a 3-day pass into the Indy 500, great access, this, that, all for a windbreaker at the F1 race. It was crazy, but. Speaking actually of IndyCar, Michael Kelly said, "Hey Dale, how excited are you that High Rock is going to be a sponsor on an IndyCar?"
Oh, I'm pumped about that. Sugarlands is sort of the parent company for High Rock, and they have a relationship in IndyCar, and so with the Ray Hall and so forth, and this is just part of that connection that was already there. It's not like a new thing, but I'm excited to have High Rock on the race car and that might not be the last race car you're going to see High Rock on. So we'll
get that.
Yeah. So we're just trying to grow the brand. High Rock Vodka is doing really well. I know that my partners are excited at Sugarlands with the sales and the attention that it's gained across the country. And so we have a lot of we really kind of initially got our product in the Total Wines. So if you have a Total Wine in your area, it's more than likely going to be able to, you're going to be able to find it there. But we're getting into other places as well. And they're like here in North Carolina, we have the ABC stores, and that's where you would find it. There's 3 in in Mooresville, and there's High Rock at those stores. So it's gaining some a footprint. So I'm excited about that.
A couple people saying they're going to stop into their local one on the way home. It's in Iowa now, it looks like. People are excited about.
Very good. Happy to hear that.
I've actually always wondered this too. This one comes from Ben Riddle. But what is the strangest thing that you've ever been asked to autograph? Because I feel like people come up with just about anything.
We talked about that on this show. A prosthetic limb is probably the strangest thing. Skin. You get people ask you to autograph their arm or their shoulder, and for me that's uncomfortable. It makes me uncomfortable, and I was at an autograph session the other week, and a guy came up and he's like, "I want you to autograph my arm. I'm going to get it tattooed," and I'm like, this is such a terrible decision. I don't want to have to be a part of this. And I was like, look, best case scenario for me is, so he and this has happened a handful of times before, and the person is always usually insistent that you sign their arm, right, or whatever part of their body this is, right, that you sign it, because my opinion is like, let's do the, if I sign skin, you can't write well on skin with a Sharpie. It doesn't look anything like my autograph, and it's the worst case or worst example of my autograph. So I try to get a clean piece of paper and sign it and say, take this to your artist. If you're really, really sure that this is what you want to do, I at least insist that you have a good-looking signature, right? So I try to give it to them on a blank piece of paper, and most of the time they refuse that. They want you to actually be the one that has signed that arm and not take a piece of paper, right? To them, it doesn't mean the same that they take a piece of paper with the signature and have their artist. Does that make sense?
It makes 100% sense, and yet it's just even furthermore why it's a bad decision.
It's a bad decision
all the way around.
I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful going forward that I'm never asked that again, because I don't think it's a great choice. But signing a prosthetic limb, I do it and I don't mind doing it. I think initially though it's just there's a bit of a shock at first in someone handing that to you. But I mean, once you get beyond that initial being taken aback, it's fine.
It's easier to sign than skin.
I think
Right.
Look, man, I don't know what it's like to have a prosthetic limb, and so you sympathize with that person. That's theirs.
That's
That's
right.
part of their body. That they live with this thing every day, so this thing is absolutely normal to them, right? And this is there's no, once you get beyond that sort of initial reaction to it, you're like, I can see why you would want. I could see why you would maybe want this to have an autograph on it. It's different than a tattoo on a physical part of your body. And this prosthetic will typically have other things like decals or stickers or some other, some sort of form of self-expression on it. So it's not so crazy, but it's just kind of strange. I've never. When do you ever hold a prosthetic limb, right? When has anybody ever handed you one, right? This is not something that happens to any of us normally. And so initially I'm holding your leg. That moment.
So that person took it off and was like, hey,
Yes.
will you sign this? It wasn't like hey, can you sign this? Like they physically took it off and went.
I think they think it's more convenient that they hand it to you and take it off, or you can sign it how you want or whatever. But, so that happened. I'll never forget. It was in Indianapolis. I think it was my very first time racing at Indy. And I was in my bus, and there was a bunch of people outside, and I went out there to sign autographs. They were waiting for autographs. And somebody took their leg off and handed it to me. And I was like, die-cast, shirt, leg. And so, once you get over that shock or surprise, I guess, it makes sense.
Oh, man. All right. This next one comes from Ted Farmer. He wants to know what the latest is on North Wilkesboro.
Well, there is no update that what are you shaking your head for, Matthew?
I just texted you one.
Well, I'm looking at the text message. I'm looking at the text chain, and nothing's in there.
What?
Are you starting a different text chain?
No, it's me, you. It's me, you, and Mike.
Okay, well, I was in the one where it was
with
me,
Hannah.
you, and Hannah.
Oh.
And now, so you got three
I
different.
suck.
He has three different texts going on.
I've got
to
like
us.
12.
And in the middle of the show, I've got to bounce between
Shame
text threads.
Shame on you for not knowing which text thread. he's
Okay, I
texted you.
found it. I found it in that one. The other one.
All right.
Okay, question. Okay, so now official today. All right. The very first event back in August will be the Smart Modifieds, Smart Tour.
Smart Modifieds and 602s and mini
right.
stocks.
Oh, all in the same trip.
Yeah.
Okay,
2 days in a row.
So Smart Modifieds, there'll be 50 lappers each night, 602 mods and the mini stocks are on August 2nd and 3rd. Later in August, the CRA Super Late models are going to run. The CRA Street Stocks are going to run. Must-see sprints and a big Cars Tour event. Later, the Cars Tour event is August 19th and 20th.
Yes, it is 19th and 20th. So talked to Barry yesterday, and they're kind of starting to make these things official. And I know it really matters to you. And you said on the show how successful these events are.
Oh, well, I won't be able to run then. So I thought that the Cars Tour Late Model Stock Race was going to be on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
I wish.
Well, that was
that was part
that
of the
was
deal.
the
That
announcement.
was the announcement.
Yeah.
So
It
you're
says
saying
it
that
on
they
their
changed
site.
that?
It says it on their site that it's going to be 19th and 20th.
Yeah, I won't be
We
able
could
to,
get it changed.
I won't be able to run that
Come
one.
on, Dale. Just get it changed.
Wait, it changed once already. That's disappointing. Well, anyhow, so you instead of me, running through this confusion again, this text message you sent me, where can they find information about what's happening at North Wilkesboro as far as dates, races, laps, cars?
North Wilkesboro Speedway site. They have the schedule
What's
up now.
What's the website?
NorthWilkesboroSpeedway.com.
All right.
You can also go to Racetrack Revival.
Yes.
They have all that too. There's schedules, tickets, the whole shebang
Thank
is
you.
all on there.
Awesome. All right. Well, so I know that they are working on the racetrack, physically working on it. I heard a rumor that they may put some sealer down on the surface as
This
well.
week.
So that'll be interesting. They've got to get some tires. I don't know where they're going to do that. There is a massive tire shortage right now, so don't know where these tires are going to come from to be able to make all these races happen in August, but they're going to figure something out.
All right. And last one, track walks also, by the way, open at North Wilkesboro next week if people want to go check that out. So last one here is from Pat Fan Kev. It says, what would your biggest rich strike moment be? In a sense where the odds were stacked against you and you came out on top, could be a race or anything else in life.
Whoa.
Deep one.
I don't know.
See, if it's Rich Strike, it's got to be a win, right? Because I remember races where he should have been out of it, but he came back and overcame a lot of adversities. But man, of all your wins,
I'm gonna say maybe the closest one that might come to it is the Winston
All-Star race.
All-Star race.
Yep.
We were running third, not the best. We weren't the fastest. We were running over. I was over my head trying to stay in. Run third. I was over driving the car, smacked the wall. Obviously over driving it, I hit the fence, and I thought, and Dad even mentioned it in Victor Lane, that when we hit the wall, we were hurting our car. And I think, actually, if I had to guess, it actually made the car faster because it bent the rear end housing and skewed the car. Like we run skew now. We want to run skew. We the more skew, the better. Well, it bent the car in a good way, and it got faster. After we hit the wall, it actually went quicker. And it became instead of driving over my head to run third, it was I was able to get up there and be really fast. But that would be the one that would come to mind.
I would make an argument that if it's truly a Rich Strike type of moment, you can't do that if you're running a DEI or a Hendrick car. So you would have to even go back to his late model wins when he was probably not on anybody's radar. You weren't winning, at a big clip, right?
Yeah.
So that would probably, where your odds are more than 5-1. I mean, Lucky Strike or Rich Strike was 80-1, right? So that was just
I don't know that I've ever had that. Yeah.
Right. I mean, it was so unprecedented.
Could could you say maybe a couple of those Talladega? One of the Talladega wins, we had like 17 pit stops to repair damage. Maybe at a moment in that race early on, people wrote us off.
Yeah, because it looked like it was a big roll of duct tape.
We lost the draft. We got a lap down.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
I know that fans have remarked over time about how I'll say, man, I won that race, and they'll go, and you made 17 pit stops. I mean, I don't even know the number, and
it was a lot, right? It was a lot.
So that's stuck in many people's heads as a race where we overcame.
This is typically where fans know more about Dale than Dale knows about Dale. So, like, is anybody mentioning events or races that we should be considering?
Yeah, the Talladega one has come up a couple of times. Someone said, the 2003 Talladega Spring Race. Someone also just said another one. I just missed it. There's a lot of people chiming in here.
I love this Martinsville race from whatever year that was, where he came back to finish fourth. And you talk about a car that looked like it belonged in a junkyard. I mean, it didn't even have a fender on it, which has probably helped it cool the brakes or something. I don't know. He came from multiple laps down at Martinsville to go finish fourth. I love that race.
Yep.
Hey, by the way, Dale, they are going to run late model stocks the next week on a Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday. So you might have.
It's not a Cars Tour race?
It's not Cars Tour, but they do say late model stocks the next week.
Huh.
So
interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see.
Well, that is it for this week's Ask Junior.
All right. Well, I appreciate everybody sending us such great questions. We had a really, really good show today. Our wide open segment was really good, and me and Mike got into we talk about the Darlington finish and then Kyle Busch parking his car on pit road and a couple other things. So you'll want to hear that. Rick Mears came in here, the legend, 4-time winner in the Indy 500, and gave us a lot of great stuff about his life and career. But we really appreciate everything y'all do for us. Appreciate all the questions. Thanks to Xfinity for sending in or for sponsoring the Ask Junior part of the show. Make sure you check out their Xfinity XFi internet. It's really fast, Mike. Really, really fast.
Is this the part where I'm supposed to read?
How fast is it, Mike?
Okay, that's true. Sorry, a little slow. That's true, Dale. I never know if we're just supposed to do this for live. Are we supposed to do this for live?
We're live.
We have to do it regardless.
Okay.
So
I
what
know.
does it matter?